Hi, I'm Marcia Lehman, and I'm a Knox County Master Gardener. Today we're going to be pruning a burning bush. The botanical name is Euonymus alatus. What you do need to know about burning bush is it is considered an invasive. It is a spring bloomer, and most of the time on spring bloomers we say let them bloom and then prune them afterwards. But in the case of burning bush, particularly because most folks never notice the flowers, and they don't plant a burning bush for the flowers. They plant a burning bush for the lovely fall color. So this is one of those cases where we're growing it for the foliage, not the flowers, and by pruning it while it's dormant, we are actually reducing the number of flowers that it will have, which will reduce the number of seeds that get produced in the fall, and hopefully reduce the amount of invasive spreading that happens. I will also admit that this particular burning bush is probably the tallest one I've ever seen, but that allows me to make another comment. That is, most people grow them much shorter, but they make the cardinal mistake of just getting out the hedge trimmers and trimming the outside of it. So this specimen actually gives us the opportunity to show you how to come in and selectively prune for airflow and sunshine into the center of the plant, which is what's important for every single shrub that we plant in our home landscapes. And like most other videos that we've done, we're going to pause for a moment, and I'm going to go down and start at the bottom. I'm here at the bottom, and you can see we have a bunch of low growing suckers. They're not very big. That's maybe the diameter of a number 2 pencil. So we're just going to take those off while we're sitting down here. That one's actually dead. It just went snap. And this one, at one point you might have said, we'll keep that, but it's growing right in the center. So we're going to take that off too. Again, airflow and sunshine. So I'm just going to move around here and take off any of this low-growing, spindly little stuff and get the bottom of it cleaned up. I've come around to the other side, and we've got some really, these are pushing ½ an inch, so I've got my loppers out to take off some of these. And we'll get rid of, try to make a little space to get in here. So there goes 3 of those. Now there's some smaller stuff here that I can go back to my hand pruners. And again, these things growing in the center, we're just going to take those out. Airflow and sunshine. Just keep saying to yourself, airflow and sunshine. Now here's another somewhat sizable one. Since this is a larger burning bush, it's more of an accent piece. It is definitely not a hedge. And there's a prior breakage. So we'll take this off. I'm not going to do much to change the structure of this. Oops. But I'm looking for things that want to grow straight up. I've gotten almost everything down lower. So now I move kind of up to eye level. And take these out. If they want to grow out, I'm more inclined to keep them. If they want to just grow straight up, I'm more inclined to get rid of them. Yep, here I can reach through and get some items that I didn't see when I was sitting on the front. And there's a few more over here that I'm going to move around to get. I'm coming in on this one, which wants to grow back and cross with a branch that really is worth keeping. And that one, so we'll take this. And now I think I'm ready to stand up and look at this from another angle and looking for other things. I still always have some more that I can clean out of the center. But the first thing I notice is we have this big stem, which comes up and then angles out. And there are times when I would take that just because of the way it bends. But the issue we have is this comes up and grows out, and this other branch just wants to grow up straight through the center. So in this case, and they rub, in this case, this is the one that's going to come out, and so I'm going to grab my pruning saw and remove that one. I've used my folding saw to cut through this branch, and if it were only this easy, but there it is. When that comes out, that opens up the center a bit more, which is what we want, and with one cut, we've taken that out. And as we look around for any other crossing rubbing, here's another candidate, much like that prior one, where a sizable, this is more than 1 inch in diameter, comes up and angles out. And then we have this one that comes up fairly straight and straddles that. So in this case, I'm going to take out the smaller of these, and I think that's also a folding saw cut. Just a little too big for the loppers. The key when using the folding saw is to be very careful not to nick the adjacent wood, and to make the cut at the branch collar. Now, this is a little longer of a cut than I would like, but I really don't have a good way to get in there any closer. So that's just the stub that we have to live with. Now, as I come up again, looking for any other rubbing crossing, here's a potential candidate. It comes up off the backside here, bends back around, grows back in that way. So I think this is a candidate for removal as well. So again, it's too big for loppers. It's another folding saw cut. I know I'm in the back of the tree, but having made this cut, let me now pull this out and show you with one cut how much we're taking out of material that was growing into the center. So we've now made 3 sizable cuts, which have opened this up tremendously, and we have no crossing rubbing branches left. We'll watch this over the years, particularly as this gets a little more weight on it. It may come down and rub here, but who knows, we could have another snowstorm and break a limb or two, in which case we come out, we clean it up, and maybe Mother Nature helps to prune. When I was looking at this to start, yeah, there's still some little stuff growing into the middle that we can find. There are some, I'm assuming Mother Nature broke something here, because that's all dead. But as we look, here's another, that one just breaks off with fingers, but I can probably clean that up just a little bit. So I don't see any more dead growing on here. I do want to find an example of how the new growth, the new bark grows that gives burning bush one of its nicknames of winged euonymus. This is a branch that was growing up through the center, so I removed it, and it in fact has ridges along this relatively new growth. It's not first year growth, it may be second or third year growth, but the newer growth will form these ridges in the bark, which over time leave a little bit of mark, but the ridge actually gets much smaller. But it's how it gets its nickname, one of its common nicknames, of winged euonymus. Why anybody thought that was a wing, I don't know, but it got the nickname of winged euonymus because of these ridges on some of the newer growth. On this shrub, we started at the bottom and took out suckers. We took out 3 major cuts that were about 1 inch, 1.25 inches in diameter. And then, you know, the last step is come around and see if there's any leftover dead stuff. Just found that one. And that's probably a little bit bigger than what you can break off with your fingers. But in pruning a burning bush, even if you are growing it as a hedge, you still need to do this. And I would recommend you do it while it's dormant so that you can see the structure. And as I say, you're growing it for the foliage, not for the flowers. So yes, we have reduced the number of flowers it will have, which means we've reduced the number of seeds that will be produced in the fall, and you'll still have your flaming red foliage in the fall. Just because it's been considered invasive doesn't mean you can't plant it. It just means you really should manage it, keep it pruned, and prune it while it's dormant to reduce the amount of flowering and seed production. We thank you for joining us today. Hope you learned something.